Hey everybody. We're going to do a little update here on the native tank. I came down a little while ago to feed it, and I haven't spent a lot of time in here today, so I was a little surprised when I came in here to feed the tank at how different it looks. All of my small minnows are gone. I haven't seen any activity on the crayfish on the bottom. All of the small fish that were on the bottom, the little bottom dwelling darters I had in there, all of those seem to be gone. I did look around, and eventually I found my little warmouth in there, and it looks a little beat up. It is still in there, so hopefully it will be able to stay in there. I don't know if I might try to get that out and put that in a quarantine tank. It's so small I could do that, and maybe keep it safe until I get this tank sorted out and figured out exactly what I'm going to do with it. So I've also noticed my golden shiners in here are not only dwindling in number, but they are getting really beat up. You can just see scales are missing off of them, and they're just rough looking. And I just noticed as I came in here to shoot this little update, that is the remains of a golden shiner right there, and you can tell by the way the tail is snipped off that the crayfish got to it. So what I'm guessing is this, and possibly this green sunfish, which are absolutely voracious when it comes to feeding, are probably the culprits. Look at the size of the mouth on this thing. Again, one of my viewers said that these fish remind him of groupers, and I can absolutely see it. So this is the bluegill over here, and he has a much smaller mouth, much less aggressive. See, that's the kind of fish that would safely be in here with these larger shiners. Fish like this, or this guy here, you can see have really big mouths. This is the larger of the two. So this was when the real trouble started, was when this larger one went in there. They're gorgeous fish, and I really love them. But it means we're now to a point where we got to start thinking about what do we want to do with this tank and which direction do I want to go in it. I always knew this day was coming. I always knew those shiners in there were a temporary thing. I bought them from a bait shop last December, so by all rights they've lived much longer than they would have. I have had people make comments about parasites and quarantine. I am going to shoot a video about that. I just haven't got around to it. I'm trying not to overkill this tank with people. I know not everybody wants to see video after video after video of this tank, while others, of course, do. So I'm trying to break it up a little bit. Personally, I'm obsessed with this tank right now, and this is about the only one I even think about at the moment. So I'm doing my best not to overwhelm you with it, but I will be shooting a video about my philosophy on quarantining the different fish in this tank and why I don't, and all about that stuff. So we'll get into that. But as far as what are we going to do with this tank now, do I get in there and try to get these more aggressive, larger fish out and then restock it with minnows and stuff? Because I really liked those rosy-sided dace. They were just gorgeous little fish. And I enjoyed the look of having all of the shoaling fish in there swimming back and forth. A few rough, ragged, beat-up little fish hiding in the corner is not really my idea of a shoal of fish anymore. And that number is going to get smaller and smaller until eventually those golden shiners are going to go away. So they would have had to go away eventually anyway. They can get up to a foot long. So they weren't ever going to be able to stay in this tank in any kind of numbers anyway. So again, it doesn't look like they're going to be in there very much longer. So what I think I'm going to do is, since I've already got some larger aggressive fish in here, since we've already gotten rid of all of the crayfish and the minnows and all of the smaller fish, we may as well go for broke and start putting some larger fish in the tank and maybe just stock it up for a little while with some bigger fish. Again, these fish aren't necessarily going to stay in the tank for very long. Some of them might only stay for a few days. Some of them might stay for a week or two. I'm going to be switching this tank around and putting different fish and stuff in here. And that's partially one of the reasons I'm not going to worry about quarantining. I'm not going to quarantine something for 6 weeks just to put it in the tank and keep it in there for 3 or 4 days and then get rid of it again so I can put something different in here. But again, more on that later. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to go with putting some more larger fish in the tank right now. Maybe I will go out and catch some more sunfish. I've gone out on my kayak a few times. The weather was kind of crappy, so I didn't bother to shoot any video of it. But we will get out on the kayak and shoot some video of that soon. But while I was out there, I caught some really big bluegill. Now, not a lot different than this fish here, just much larger in size, at least by bluegill standards. You know, maybe a third, again, bigger than that. These were really big by bluegill standards, so I don't think I'd be able to catch them out on the kayak and keep them in a bucket and, you know, make my way back across the reservoir and all that. But it does open up the option of getting some just different fish in here and some larger fish in here. And then, of course, we have to wait until June 15th. And then after the bass spawn is over, I will be allowed to keep some bass, and maybe we'll bring some bass home and put a bass or two in this tank, maybe a smallmouth for a little while, maybe a little largemouth or something for a little while. Ultimately, I'd like to see a perch in this tank. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. We're going to go with the larger, more aggressive fish for now. And then as we sort of enjoy those and have our fun with those and settle down, eventually we'll settle into something that's going to be a little more long-term sustainable. And I'm really not the kind of guy that likes a great big tank with a few huge fish in it. I know that that kind of tank is popular. I prefer a community tank. I like seeing little shoals of fish. I like seeing different groups of fish. I like seeing different species interacting together, and not in that sort of get the hell out of my tank way or you're my dinner way. I like to see them interacting as far as shoaling together, swimming together, and that sort of thing. So in the long run, we're probably going to get back to some sort of tank that's got lots of smaller fish in here and some shoaling fish. But in the near future, start looking forward to maybe seeing some larger fish get put in this tank. I also am going to shoot some video about the bioload and the bioload going in this tank and the rapid increase by putting larger fish in this tank and everything. So there will be plenty of videos coming up on my, I guess that'll probably be my layman's lectures video playlist. So don't forget that I do have lots of other playlists. Make sure you're subscribed. You won't miss any of them. Thanks again for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See you real soon in the next one.